Good morning, Mets fans, and happy Friday. Today is the first day of the unofficial sort of second half of the season. The Mets start a three-game set with the Yankees tonight in Yankee Stadium to kick off the second half, or I guess the part of the season that starts after the All-Star break, because technically the second half is already over, or has already started, rather. 81 games have passed. So anyhow, earlier this week I did an embarrassing recap of the predictions I made for the season back in March. And today I'm going to talk about some predictions I have for the second half, see if I can do better this half than I did in the first. Before we get to the second half predictions, and there are only a handful of them, I want to talk quickly about the fact that tonight Cespedes will be back with the Mets. He will be more than likely DHing. He did play first base in a rehab game, not yesterday, but 2 days ago. So this notion or experiment or whatever you want to call it of Cespedes potentially playing first base is there's something to it. I don't know what, and I don't know how far it will go, but it'll be just good to have Cespedes back in the lineup, because as I've said a number of times, the Mets seem to win when Cespedes is on the field, and they seem to lose when he's on the team but is not able to play. So let's see if that continues this evening. The Mets will be sending their three top pitchers to the mound, I guess. I mean, Wheeler's sort of in there with Matz, but Noah tonight, Matz tomorrow, DeGrom Sunday. So that'll be exciting. The best pitchers will face the best lineup, or maybe the second best lineup in baseball, in a Little League field. So we'll see how they do. On to the predictions. Number one, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, Zach Wheeler, and Steven Matz will all remain with the Mets throughout the end of this season. I do not think the Mets will trade any of their pitchers. I've said it before. I think the haul has to be massive for any of them, frankly, at this point, if only because, as I said before, for so long the Mets have been waiting for Matz and Wheeler to reach their potential, and now they're there. So this is not the time to give up on them. This is the time to invest in them and put a team around them that can help them win. We'll get to that in a little bit. As far as trades that will happen, I do expect, and I think everyone does, that both Asdrubal Cabrera and Jeurys Familia will be moved before the July 31st trade deadline, which is rapidly approaching. It's just a couple of days away, 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. So I do expect both of them to move. I hope that Cabrera ends up with a contender and gets a shot at the playoffs again, and I hope that Familia isn't asked to close in a tough situation in the playoffs, because we all know how that goes. I'm kidding, of course. So the Mets move Asdrubal Cabrera. That opens the door for the red-hot Jeff McNeil to make his way to the Major League roster and play second base throughout the rest of the season. It'll be a good opportunity for everyone to see if McNeil is a 4A player, or if he really is for real and can play at the Major League level. As far as who's going to close, well, that's a fine question. I have no idea. I have no idea who's going to close after Familia is traded. So I don't know. Closer by committee. I mean, Gazelman has not been good. Lugo, maybe, but he's too valuable with the length that he can give to have him stuck in a closing role where he'll only go one inning at a time. So, good question, and we'll have to just see how it unfolds, because I honestly don't even have the faintest answer, and I don't even want to guess. So, as far as the rest of the players, and I guess this sort of ties, this is like number 3. So, 1, the pitchers stay. 2, Cabrera and Familia go. 3, I don't know that anybody else can be traded right now. No one has any value, and if the Mets are looking to unload players and get value in return, and value that is immediate that can help next year. I just don't think there's anybody on the roster that has value outside of the starting pitching, which, as I said, I don't think the Mets will trade. So I don't think anybody else is going to be going anywhere by July 31st. It is possible, though, that before the August 31st, the waiver deadline, it is possible that a player has a breakout month, or Jay Bruce comes back and shows that his struggles in the first half were caused by his injury, whatever. Puts up a good month. Maybe there's an opportunity to trade someone like Jay Bruce. Maybe Jerry Blevins remembers how to get lefties out again and becomes valuable. But a lot has to happen for that scenario to take place. So again, I'm not saying that it's possible. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's unlikely. Number 4, David Wright will return to the field this year. This is probably the dumbest prediction I'm making, because whatever. But my conspiracy theory all along about Jose Reyes and his place on the roster is that the Mets are keeping Reyes on the roster for the only reason being that when Wright returns, he and Reyes can man the left side of the infield one more time together. I'm really hoping that David Wright can come back. I really am, because he's earned it. He's earned every opportunity to get back on the field and play the game that he loves and that he's dedicated his life to. That being said, I'm not expecting David Wright to be a savior of any kind. Whatever you get out of him, you get out of him, and that's that. But again, at the end of the day, just the visual of Reyes and Wright in the infield, shortstop, third base together one more time, that's like worth the price of admission for me. So I'm really hoping that I'm right about this one. I don't know that I am, but I'm hoping that I am. Final prediction, this is sort of a double prediction here. Jacob deGrom will win the National League Cy Young as he continues his dominant pitching. He's going to finish the season with a sub-2 ERA. I don't think it's going to be 1.63 or 6.8 rather, but I think it's going to be a sub-2 ERA. The only question will be, how many wins can this team get for him? And note the way I phrased that. How many wins can his team get for him? Because the win is not an individual statistic, it is a team statistic, and it should stop being applied to players, because wins are as much a factor of the 8 guys behind the pitcher and the lineup and how it performs as it is about how the pitcher throws the ball. So I hope that the team can figure out a way to start scoring runs for Jacob deGrom. And when I say runs, I'm talking about 2. Because 2 runs right now for Jake every outing would give him like 7 or 8 more wins, if not more. So score some runs for this kid, whatever. Finally, the Jacob deGrom thing. The Mets will extend Jacob deGrom in the off season. He's not going to get an extension during the season, but I think in the off season the Mets will extend him, give him a 5-year contract, maybe even a 4-year contract worth 20 some odd million per season. The Mets can afford it, and he's earned it. And he's made it abundantly clear in his comments during the All-Star break that he wants to stay with the Mets, but he wants to get paid. And he'd like to win too. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, is what I'm saying there. He can stay with the Mets and he can get paid. Not so sure if he's going to win, but, like I said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And finally, I think the Mets will finish with a better record in the second half than they did in the first, because they have to. Can't be much worse than it was in the first half. So I'm looking forward to the season returning tonight, and real baseball returning tonight, and the Mets getting on the field to play their crosstown rivals, the New York Yankees. So I will be back on Monday to recap this Subway Series weekend. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And until Monday, thanks for watching, and let's go Mets.